While real GDP per capita and the percent change in GDP give a good idea about the wealth of a country, it does not give the full picture. Economists interested in economic growth use a statistic called the Gini index to rate the level of income inequality in a country. Both the percent change in GDP and per capita GDP are good for giving an economist an idea of how much wealth a country has obtained, but neither statistic gives any information about how the wealth or income is divided within a country. Let's look at an example of the type of problem that the economist faces when studying income. A country has a GDP of $1 million and has a population of 1,000 individuals. According to the per capita GDP calculation, each individual in that country has a share of $1,000. That is $1 million divided by 1,000 individuals. However, the economist does research and finds that 100 people control $900,000 worth of GDP. If the per capita GDP is calculated for these individuals, we find that their per capita data is $9,000. The remaining 900 people control $100,000 worth of GDP. If the per capita GDP is calculated for these individuals, we find that their per capita GDP is $111.11. Question: Does our $1,000 per capita give us an accurate picture of the wealth of the country? The answer is that the per capita GDP does not give a very accurate picture of how the wealth is divided or distributed within a country. Indeed, the country in our example clearly shows that the per capita GDP does not give an accurate idea of the country because a minority controls most of the wealth of the country. An attempt to measure income equality is the Gini index. Specifically, the Gini index measures how unequal the distribution of the wealth is within a country. A Gini index of 0 is perfect equality. A Gini index of 100 is perfect inequality. A relatively high Gini index indicates a relatively high degree of income inequality. A relatively low Gini index indicates a relatively low level of inequality of income. Here's a short table with some Gini indices. There are a few things to notice. First, Namibia has the highest Gini index of 70.7. Second, Sweden has the lowest with a Gini index of 23. The United States is close to the center. It's an interesting point that the United States has more income inequality than other Western nations. Indeed, Germany, one of our biggest competitors for world trade, has more equality than the United States does. It is also interesting to note that the United States is sort of in the middle of so-called developing nations. Notice it's sandwiched in between in our short table between Uganda and Nigeria.